Today's story is about Hades, the elder brother of Zeus and the ruler of the Underworld. As you learned in the previous video, after the Titan War, Zeus divided the world among himself and his brothers. Zeus ruled the sky, Poseidon ruled the seas, and Hades ruled the Underworld. Before we continue, I want you to understand that Hades chose the realm of the dead himself. Zeus didn't force him into it. Their relationship was that of brothers, and they loved each other. There was no hatred between them, unlike what most animations and movies try to portray. All right, let's continue. Hades chose the underworld because he felt like the eldest brother and had spent the most time inside Cronus's stomach, making him accustomed to darkness. He also wanted to keep an eye on the Titans to prevent their greed for power. Hades was responsible for the underworld, but he wasn't responsible for death itself. The one in charge of death was Thanatos, the son of Nyx, who was one of the primordial gods like Gaia and Eros. So, Hades only governed the underworld, punishing souls and preventing them from escaping. Because of this, he wasn't considered an Olympian and rarely left his realm. The ancient Greeks believed that if someone mentioned Hades' name, he might hear them and take them to the underworld. This made people reluctant to say his name out loud. So, after all this fear, what exactly happens in the underworld that makes people so worried? According to Greek beliefs, after a person dies and Thanatos separates their soul from their body, Hermes carries the soul to the shore of the underworld. There, a figure with a boat awaits them. Charon, the son of Nyx, and the brother of Thanatos. Charon ferries souls from the shore to the gates of the underworld, but he doesn't do it for free. Souls that have a coin under their tongue are taken across, but those without one must walk along the riverbanks until they reach the entrance. Even in death, there was favoritism. Once they reach the gates of the underworld, they encounter Cerberus, a massive three-headed dog that guards the entrance to prevent anyone from escaping. After entering, the souls proceed to the underworld court, where 3 judges determine their fate based on their deeds in life. The soul is then sent to one of 3 places: Asphodel, a gray, lifeless plain where those who suffered and led miserable lives are sent. After 1,000 years, they drink from the river Lethe, which erases their memories, preparing them to be reborn as new people with new identities. Elysium, a paradise where demigods, heroes, and those who lived righteous lives reside, enjoying all the pleasures of life. Every soul there has the choice to return to life, though most choose to stay. Tartarus, the worst place in the underworld, where Hades himself resides. It is home to the most wicked criminals, Cronus, and the imprisoned Titans. Hades oversees the punishments given to each soul according to their sins. For example, Tantalus, who killed his son, was condemned to eternal hunger and thirst. Every time he tried to drink, the water would dry up, and whenever he tried to eat from a tree, its branches would move out of reach. Tartarus was the worst part of Hades' domain. Once someone entered, they could never leave. There was also another region in Hades' realm called the Land of Dreams, overseen by the god Morpheus, who controlled the dreams of both mortals and gods. All these regions were under Hades' rule. He lived on an island surrounded by fire on all sides, a place that no one could reach unless invited by Hades himself. Now that we've talked about the underworld and Hades' role in it, let's discuss his relationship with Persephone, the daughter of Zeus, and Demeter. Hades had been watching her for a long time. He was in love with her, but he knew that her mother, Demeter, would never agree to give her to him. So, he came up with a plan. He went to his brother Zeus, the king of the gods, and asked for permission. Zeus, not wanting trouble with Hades because he knew how powerful he was, agreed and let him do as he pleased. One day, Persephone was walking through a vast garden when she found a rare flower that Hades had planted. When she tried to pick it, the ground cracked open, and Hades emerged, taking her with him to the underworld. Demeter, the goddess of agriculture and harvests, was devastated when she found out. Crops withered, and the people suffered from famine. When Persephone arrived in the underworld, she was terrified. The place was dark, filled with whispering souls moving in silence. She cried and refused to speak or eat. But Hades, unlike what most people think, wasn't a monster, nor did he force her violently. He was a powerful god, but he was just, and unlike the other gods who enjoyed deception and mind games, he ruled the underworld with law and order. Instead of forcing her, he gave her time. Every day he spoke to her calmly, telling her about his kingdom, about the souls that passed through, and how important his role was in maintaining the balance between life and death. Over time, she began to see that he was not just a kidnapper. He wasn't what she had imagined. One day, Persephone saw the spirit of a little girl who was scared and uncertain about her fate. Without hesitation, she went to her, held her hand, and comforted her with gentle words. At that moment, she noticed a look in Hades' eyes, a look of admiration and respect. For the first time, she saw something other than the darkness she had expected from him. Hades was never as troublesome as Zeus. He was a king, strong but loyal. He never deceived her or forced her into anything, and when he felt she was still afraid, he gave her the freedom to leave. Persephone was shocked. She never expected the ruler of the underworld, whom everyone feared, to simply let her go. From that moment, she began to see him differently. When it was time to return, she felt something strange. She wanted to see her mother, but at the same time, she no longer felt like the same girl who had left the garden. She had become stronger, a queen. She was no longer just an ordinary girl. Before she left the underworld, she saw a bright red pomegranate in front of her. Hades had placed it there and left her to choose. He knew that anyone who ate food from the underworld would always be bound to it. But surprisingly, he didn't force her, nor did he even tell her to eat it. A moment of silence. After some thought, she lifted the fruit and took a bite. They agreed that she would spend 4 months with Hades and the rest of the year in Olympus. The ancient Greeks believed that the reason for winter was the 4 months Persephone spent with Hades, and so she chose to be the queen of the underworld herself. Finally, let me tell you a bit about Hades' powers. Hades can split the earth with a single strike, causing massive disruptions, which allows him to reshape the landscape of the underworld as he pleases. He is also extremely intelligent. During the Titan War, one of his strategies was to infiltrate the Titans' stronghold and destroy their weapons. Moreover, he has the power to cast curses, not just on 1 or 2 people, but on entire cities. He also knows everything about the dead, which is natural since he is the one who judges them. One of his greatest abilities is that he can summon and control the dead. If a powerful person dies, he can summon them and make use of their strength. Additionally, he can control fire. And that's it. This brings our journey in the world of Hades to an end, the mysterious god whom many misunderstood. He is not a devil, nor is he evil, but a just ruler who maintains the balance between life and death. He was always a strong and influential figure in Greek mythology. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, because many more myths are coming soon.